What's going on, everybody? My name is Ryan Snaadt. It rhymes with odd, and you're listening and watching the Rhymes with Odd podcast. Today, we're jumping in with another amazing episode. We're often told as entrepreneurs that we need to be tough, but our guest today, Meg, argues that the true strength isn't built with comfort, it's built in the comeback, which we'll talk about today. From the front desk at a gym to revolutionizing how we look at DNA and cellular health through the Biocode program, Meg is showing us that you want to scale your business, you have to first optimize the human behind it. We'll talk all about this stuff today. Health is a business metric, and I can't wait to dig into this topic today. Meg, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I just heard you're not you're a seasoned vet at the podcast stuff with your own podcast now.
No,
so
no. I would not say that. Yeah,
so
but
great.
I love to talk.
Yes. Well, that's a good thing for a podcast. I always joke, my teachers always said he does good in school, but he just talks too much. So
that's what's with me.
Look at where we're at now,
Yeah.
talking on a podcast. So, Meg and I connected, it was probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago. We were filming some stuff for P3 and got the chance to see your home gym and kind of all the cool stuff you're working with. And being a fellow fitness enthusiast, I think it was cool just to see kind of where you're at in your life and with your business and everything. So
we had the whole family involved in that one, didn't we?
Yeah. Seeing the sauna in action, there's the dumbbells going on, the power plate, which I'm still not totally sure what a power plate does. I need to Google that.
I can explain it.
Okay, we'll have to cover it. So, but I appreciate you coming on and kind of sharing your story about business, entrepreneurship, fitness, everything in that world. So
thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Perfect. Okay. So we'll start with kind of a big question first, and then we'll jump into kind of your origin story. But we'll talk about this idea that your health is a business metric. You kind of hear that sometimes where entrepreneurs, business leaders, they don't take their health seriously. They've got a huge company or a very successful career, but they're super overweight or their internal gut health is terrible or, whatever that is. Can you expand on this idea a little bit for people that aren't really taking it seriously, and how can business owners or entrepreneurs justify making health a major priority in their life?
In all honesty, your health is priceless. So many people don't put it forth until you get a call that maybe you have cancer or you have a heart attack or you have high cholesterol. Many times we just take advantage of the fact that we are healthy. But as we get older, aches and pains come along with it. For me, I lost a parent unexpectedly, and I would do anything to have my dad back. So, there's many things that I wish I would have done to help him become healthier, but he was also very stubborn in his ways. But, for real, it's not even just health where it's going to be numbers that you can see as far as your cholesterol, your blood pressure, but many times so many people are so busy and they're so stressed out that even having their cortisol, stress does so much, so many negative things. Having too much inflammation in your body causes so much brain fog, so honestly, everybody could be better at their business if they were healthier.
Sure. No, I totally agree. I always think it's interesting too. I was talking with somebody the other day and they said, what's the best business practice you can have? And I even said, I'm be healthy, take care of your body. Because people don't realize well, how can you work that much or do this or that, or your output's higher than everyone's. I'm if you just get good night's sleep, eat well,
stay hydrated,
exercise, But
a lot of it is self-love.
Yeah.
I always say your body conquers what your mind controls too. So when you get both of those working properly, now watch your business.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And we'll talk a lot about that today as well. I think a good place to start just to kind of get a reference of who Meg is for people that don't know. Can you tell us a little about who you are and what you do now?
Oh, well, I have been in the fitness industry for over 20 years. I have done every facet of fitness that you can think of. So I went to college. I was a group fitness instructor. I worked at a gym. That's how I fell in love with it. I have worked in a hospital setting in the cardiac rehab, taught fitness classes there. I've worked in the corporate setting, did a health promotion program for 2 different insurance companies. And then I've worked in the gym setting, personal training, and I met my husband actually selling exercise equipment.
Okay.
And then we had kids, and it was very important to me that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I still wanted to work. So, I mean, I would have clients. I mean, I trained on the day that I gave birth. I always came back like 2 weeks after because I love what I do. And a lot of times, like the baby was attached to my chest. But it's just honestly who I am. It's my identity. It's my family's identity. Eating healthy, work, so even as a mother, like my kids could have ice cream, but we might ride our bikes to go get ice cream. Or a lot of times we would make our own version of like protein ice cream. So my husband has sold fitness equipment for, oh my gosh, probably like 30 years now. It's kind of weird. Time kind of gets away from you, right? And so I have like an awesome home gym. We did have an overhead studio for 6 years, and I ran like small group classes from that. That was called like 6 Weeks to Made Strong. And I still have so many amazing relationships from that. And then a lot of them became like one-on-one clients, but we ended up kind of closing that down. Actually, at the time, our lease was coming up when COVID happened, so that kind of helped. And then I was going to be the master trainer for Power Plate, which you brought up earlier, for the United States. But then with COVID, things kind of shut down there as well. But I've still continued on training out of my home. And then I started an online program. So I would do like online like nutrition coaching, and I have my own app. And then I fell in and met some amazing people, and I'm a part of a company called X Factor Labs, where we are taking health a little bit even further, and we are doing testing for people. So, why guess when you can test? So it just allows me to be a better trainer. We have DNA testing, methylation, cellular nutrition. We do an ALCAT food sensitivity, and then we call it kind of test, tailor, train, and transform.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll dig into all those things.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
there's so much to it. It's always interesting too if we ask anyone that's like a business owner, like, tell us about like what do you do? And it's like, how much time do you have? Because there's a lot.
There's
great.
so many. Yeah.
We love it. That's great. We'll get to kind of back to current day, but I think a good place to go would probably be your origin story. So can you tell me about where you grew up and what your childhood was like?
So I grew up on a farm. So I'm a farm girl. Iowa, born and raised, love it. And then, my parents were divorced when I was younger. Then I went to Indianola High School, and I was not actually, everybody thinks because you're into fitness that you were into sports. I really was not into sports. I actually worked a lot, growing up. I had 2 jobs at the age of 14. And went off to college, and that is where I fell in love with fitness. So I just got some job at a gym, and I think what I really liked was, you go away to college and there's many different variables that are out of your control, right? And when I started doing fitness, it was something that I could control. So you could control what you put in your mouth. You could control like working out. But it wasn't like a form of punishment. It was like a form of feeling empowered with myself. So I started seeing changes. There was a magazine that was called Oxygen Magazine. And I saw on there like these girls' figures, and I'm like, I kind of look like that. And so I would it was like my fitness Bible. So I would like follow the workouts. I would like eat those meals, and things would change, and I fell in love with it.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I had a similar path with mine, only mine was sports related. I did 3 sports in high school and then went to college and didn't do any sports. So then I kind of fell into the gym from there too. So it's always good to get out of the house and then you kind of explore what you want to do. Like you said, some people, fitness is a punishment, or it's like you got to run because your coach is mad at you or whatever. But when you actually want to do it, it kind of changes the motive a little bit.
It is such a mental, and especially if you don't like it. But I always tell people it's like, you got to change the mindset on how you're looking at it. Like, it is not a punishment. It could be the most empowering thing that you could do for yourself.
Sure. Totally. I love it. So you mentioned kind of starting from like working behind a desk at some point. Did you start working in the gym scene in college, or was that kind of post-grad? Okay.
Actually, I even started in the daycare. Then I moved to the front desk, checking people in and folding towels. And I'd take all like the little classes there. Then I was like, I'm really into this. So I changed my major. I taught fitness classes. If I really want to date myself, I taught step classes with the body bar. Did kind of body pump classes before that term body pump ever even came out. I did a walk and tone class. I taught strength conditioning class. I got my first personal training certification in college. And I mean, I have done it. I'm not saying I've done everything really well. Like yoga, I love yoga, but for me to teach it, I'm not really probably the most calming personality. So I kind of like to just continue being a student in that versus a teacher.
Sure. Yeah, Julian Michaels' approach to yoga is probably not the best. It's like, stretch, warrior three, I see you in the back. Why are you sweating so much? Like, they're probably gonna be like, oh, stop yelling at me.
I kind of feel like I used to be, when I was younger doing it, I think I was more intense, like, that no pain, no gain. And now, like, the older I get, like, I fell in love with corrective exercise. So I will not punish everybody. It's not like I make clients do burpees now. There's many different ways of it.
Sure.
But I also am very ADHD. But the one thing, it could be the biggest superpower, because if I find something fascinating, I am all in. I mean, like all in, that it just consumes me and I just want to research it more. And I go down all these rabbit holes, and then that goes to something else and that goes to something else. And that's how, like with the testing, how I fell in love with that.
Sure. No, I love that. I know for myself too, my recent rabbit hole thing has been peptides. I've been super interesting because I kind of like had an assumption about it, and then had a conversation with a doctor about it a couple of days ago. And I was like, I'm going to do some more research just to learn about this because I'm just curious. And then now here I am, like on hour 6 of a like really long podcast series trying to learn more about it from doctors and people.
I even went and worked at a functional health clinic to like deep dive into more. So it's like, I know, like I'm kind of at the age, like my daughter is going to be a freshman at Iowa next year. So it's not like I can go back to college, but I love to learn. So I'm like, I'm just going to surround myself with more intelligent people.
Sure. No, it's great. I think pursuit of knowledge is something that you talk to anybody that's gone really far in any area of life. It's like being a student at no matter what age. I think it's super, super important. So, so you mentioned like this, working the front desk, trying to fold towels, it's that kind of beginning to get you into into the role of it. What is kind of a piece that you've kind of taken from the early days that you still apply now to your current like fitness regimen, or just kind of the way you look at health and fitness, even from the early days?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about like with the person, I think when you start on a business side from the ground up and you do all the jobs that are not fun, you really learn customer service very well. And you also know that every single role and every single person is very important. So as you kind of go up and you're now like the entrepreneur, you always want to take care of your team. So I like that and that component of just like starting from like folding towels, checking people in, and then seeing like how people treated me. And I would either be like, that made a difference in a positive way or in a negative way, and I'm going to do it better.
Sure. I love that. One of the other pieces too was really building this like fitness community in the Midwest. I know we talked about Made Strong, which we'll talk about in a second, but how did that kind of philosophy tie you in with local Midwest people? Because the Midwest is typically not like,
I love the Midwest,
like fitness forward. It's not like the coast, like you see coastal trends or new gyms. They always start on the East Coast, West Coast, and work their way in towards us. How did you kind of like connect with other like-minded people here in Iowa and not feel like you had to like move away to go connect with other people that are into fitness?
Well, in all honesty, the saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. I mean, I've done CrossFit in the past. I still love going and doing other people's classes. So I work out at like Lifetime. I work out at a gym and I love doing classes. But most of it is I'm a big time extrovert and I love to talk. I love to meet people. I'm one of those girls that never jealous. If there's somebody that I ever see, I'm like, ooh, I want to know more about you. Or like, girl, I'll straighten out your tiara. Like we're all queens in our own right. So it's all one of those things. I'm an inclusive person. I think the more the merrier. But it's like-minded people like gravitate towards each other. And, with my kids, I didn't really want them growing up a lot, like surrounded like with alcohol. Not that I want, but I grew up with, alcohol being a part of like my childhood. And so I wanted to have like, a different upbringing for my children. And on that, we did a lot of things as family, like a lot of like healthy activities. And you always just meet people out and about. And then social media, holy cow, that comes along. And then you're, seeing someone and you end up following them and you just gravitate towards each other.
Sure. Well, I think, like you mentioned, any common activity, you just do it enough, you'll find other people that are doing it too. I think that's interesting too. I had a friend of mine that got really into what's it called? Bushwhack. It's when
I don't even know what that is.
You go in a canoe for a weekend and you just have an axe and you survive for 2 days off, like, so you can fish or you can build a structure, whatever. He had this really nasty breakup. This was like 6 years ago. He had a really nasty breakup and he just went out and went bushwhacking for like a couple weeks. Ended up on the river. Guess what? He found the female version of him doing the exact same thing.
Really?
Another girl into bushwhack, and now they're together. And I think they live on a sailboat in Chicago now, like in Lake Michigan. That's their thing. They live on a sailboat full time now.
I always do think that there's something that is beautiful that happens, like even during our most trying times. If you look through the glimmers throughout the day and you kind of pay attention to kind of like the universe and what God has in store, like you'll meet your people. So a lot of times many people can get defeated, but if you and that's where like that positive mindset and those positive thoughts control everything. So, I mean, that's amazing to hear that about him.
Sure. Yeah. I always tell people too, like if you're feeling in a rut socially, I'm like, just go do the things you like to do out of the house.
You have to get out.
Yeah. Even if it's like an introverted thing, like video games, like play with your friends online or find people there. Like there's ways to connect everywhere.
That was my favorite thing about when I had the overhead studio in that class that I called 6 Weeks to Made Strong. It was small groups, but a lot of these women came in and they never worked out before. And I mean, it's intimidating, right? Like if you put yourself out there and you're walking into a gym, like gyms scare the crap out of a lot of people, especially women. You see more women doing cardio than over lifting weights. And that's where I come in,
Sure.
But it's something about like bringing women together. And not only, I mean, there were so many beautiful relationships that were formed that if these gals ever met each other, they wouldn't have like probably just been friends like on the street. But it's something like there's something about fitness that you see people like, pushing past the point of failure to get that extra rep in, and they celebrate each other. And it's so empowering to see these women like cheer each other on. And then I've always had like private little groups, like the Facebook private groups. And it's so fun like seeing, like of course I can like lead it and I can post, but when they're posting recipes or like when they're posting like, hey, I went on a walk with that. And then they're like, oh, like Lori did it. I'm going to do it too. And then they're like, hey, thanks. I got off the couch and I took my daughter for a walk. And, movement makes everything better.
Sure. I love it. I think just, again, the social connection helps people stay on the path too. It's easy to fall off. And sadly anymore, it's like if you have a rigorous workout schedule or you're eating differently than people, everyone's like trying to knock you off of it, or, hey, you look kind of like hungry. You should eat, here, eat this or do this, or we should go have drinks or whatever.
It is actually sad how many people, it's their family, like it could be like even their spouse, but they see their, husband or their wife like doing something different and they see them having change. And sometimes unhappy people, like if they're unhappy within themselves, they can almost like say things to knock someone else off a little bit. And it's really sad when you see that it's their own loved ones.
Sure. No, it's heartbreaking too, because you just, the person's working really hard to improve themselves. And it, like you said, it kind of exploits the insecurities that people have too.
Well, and, especially as you get older and I see women, I mean, I'm not a man, so you could probably speak with the man, but I see so many women and it's like you have children and you give them your all and you want to give your husband your all and you cut yourself short because you're so busy taking care of everybody else. And it's like, who's going to take care of you? And so many times that's where it's like your female friends come in and can help motivate you too. But like it all begins with self-love. Like you got to love, I always say you got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself before you can love anybody else. Because even loving everyone else, they're not getting the best version of you.
Mm-hmm. That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you put yourself for, like they always say, the airplane analogy, put your mask on before you help other people. I know you'd mentioned earlier that your father passed away from some health issues and things like that. During that process, it sounds like there was some frustration with the medical system. Talk to me about how that has informed you as like a trainer, and just kind of your thoughts on, movement as medicine and all those things, like how that personal experience has made this a real mission for you and a real passion.
My dad was authentically one of a kind, and he was such a cool dude. He was 71 years old, still worked full time at the Iowa State Fair, doing manual work, like worked in the maintenance. So, he's like running all the machines, building gates. He was also a farmer. So he was up at like 2:00 in the morning, feeding all the cattle, going to work a 12-hour day. And he was just as tough as they came, but he ate gas station food. He did different things, and he got into an accident and he broke his back. So he got broadsided on a highway. And from there, he couldn't move. And his blood pressure went up. We went on a trip 3 weeks before he passed. He had a heart attack. We found him, later. Is devastating. But to find out, he went to the doctor and got turned away the same day that he died. And he was, so many times my dad, he didn't even know how to text, right? So he would show up to an appointment, but they would because he didn't confirm the appointment. And he's like, well, I made the call. I had the appointment. They're like, sorry, you'll have to come back. But I will tell you, when I found out he got turned away, you better believe I was in that office because I worked front desk at a doctor clinic, and it breaks my heart beyond belief to see, I grew up in the day and age, like you respect your elders. And sometimes I feel like society has failed on compassion and empathy, and especially with that older generation.
Sure.
So, but I don't know, with my dad, his blood pressure was 178 over 124, and I knew what those numbers meant. And so we got in an argument, and he's like, the only time I have high blood pressure is when you're around. But no, he was, I'm very proud to be his daughter.
Sure. Well, I think, again, those experiences kind of shape, again, the professional direction of like confirming this is what I want to do for my career.
Yeah.
I want to help other people avoid having, health issues that could stop someone in their tracks, as they're going about their life. So,
in that older the world is better with grandparents around. And I always tell people when I meet with you, if you're going to ever be a client of mine, I want to know your why. Like, why are you coming to me? Like, why do you want to make that change? Like, if your why is strong enough, it is going to be your identity for your discipline when you're not motivated. And I always bring people's why. And my father was the coolest grandfather. And I want to be a really kick-ass. I don't know if I can cuss, but I want to be the kick-ass grandma who is taking my grandchildren hiking on a mountain, or like my grandma, like even my grandmother, like played, 5-on-5 basketball. She was like in her 80s still pounding fence in, like she was like, well, I guess in her 70s. She was awesome. But we're just farm strong people. And that's why I always laugh, when someone's like, oh, you're from Iowa? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm from Iowa. Like, I'm very proud to be from Iowa. And I'm very proud to have like the Midwest values.
Sure. Well, I think, again, just having that bigger picture, there's so many days where you just don't, everyone thinks someone that's really in shape, they must have all the motivation. It's like, no, they just they get up and do it when they don't. And
it's all about habits.
Yeah. And that's the difference between them and everyone else, is like, they just do it no matter how they're feeling. That's like the difference between discipline and motivation.
But like if you do really think about it, like if people are successful, typically it's their habits that made them successful in any area of your life, right? And so I always say it's not about perfection. It's about being consistent. And so many times people give, like, that's why I hate the scale. I hate the scale because so many times, like, women will give up because the scale is not moving how they want. But I'm like, you don't realize, like, you're putting on muscle right now, and you're carrying a little bit more water weight. But if you just stick with it, like, by your measurements, and then they're like, oh my gosh, like, you're right. Like, yeah, no, I am right. I've been at this very long time.
Sure. No,
But so many times people do give up when success is just right around the corner.
Sure. Well, and again, just the small little pieces. Like I did a bodybuilding show in 2018 and I was like 220 to 185 when I was on the stage, but it was like over a 4 or 5 month period. And there were so many days where I'm just like doing the regimen, eating the food, drinking the gallon of water every day. And then I'm just like, I'm not seeing any changes. And then you just keep doing it for another couple weeks. And then you're like, wait a second. It's just like, it's such a slow burn. I think that's why fitness is such an interesting, like, area to focus your life, because it's just micro movements every day.
Yes.
And you just have to keep swinging the hammer every single day to get yourself closer to where you want to be.
That is like with the progressive overload, principle. A lot of people want like flashy, like fun workouts that they're sweating a lot. And many times with women, especially as you age, and if you are very stressed out, if you're stressed out or your hormones, you actually don't even want that high intensity. You actually want to do like those slow little movements, but it's just doing the same thing over and over, but like just kind of pushing up the weight like a little bit. And you're like, if you just stick with it, it is amazing what really happens.
Sure. No, I agree. I think another interesting piece was, I think we mentioned is the Biocode program. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Some of these business owners that we talk to like hit a wall and quit, or they'll hit that, like you said, they stop right before they hit the gold. They're a couple more swings away. Talk to me about how that kind of ties in with, sorry, I lost my notes here. Talk to me how that ties in with like personal frustration and then also with the business, but also like
Oh my gosh. Okay. These tests are complete game changer. So there's one test, it's $2.99, but it tests your DNA, right? So just because like one diet works well for you doesn't mean it's going to work well for your wife. And so many times, like your genes are your genes. You cannot change your DNA, but you can actually have a program that is designed, all those little plateaus and all those frustrations. Well, they can kind of go away when you find out, you do better off of eating more carbs than fats, or you might do better off of having more fats. Your body doesn't do recovery. So even though you're going to the gym 5 days a week, you would actually be better off and you would hit your goals better if you did 3 days a week and had more recovery. Caffeine is not your friend. So it's one of those, just by seeing where your DNA is. I mean, it actually even tells you like how intrinsically motivated you are. So it gives you an idea that, maybe you should not be doing high intensity cardio. You should be focusing on zone 2, and you would do very well doing 40 minutes 4 times a week. That is what that test will break down and tell you. So the DNA test is completely fascinating because it tells you where your DNA is. Then there's methylation, which I know methylation and everybody's used to hearing like now, like maybe MTHFR, that gene expression. Well, we do a methylation test, and that just is like your body's switch. So I always kind of look at it as like the engine that you have going. And so that like has a lot to do with like epigenetics, and that is your environment and your lifestyle, how that affects with your methylation. So we all get different genes from our parents. So we get one gene. So one of our parents could have passed on the MTHFR gene, and that just might mean like, hey, my body, how it works with folate, and how that can break down and helps with detoxifying. It helps with inflammation. Like you might need a methylated B vitamin, and that could make you feel so much better. So when you understand like methylation, that is going to help with if something is off and you supplement correctly for it for your body, that can help you so much with the inflammation in your body. It can help your hormones, and it can help with your neurotransmitters. It can help with different pain, how we feel, like, even just our brain fog. So if you have brain fog, if you're tired all the time, like you're wired but tired, methylation, figuring that out could be the key to not only like your longevity, but just how good you feel. And then we have a test with Cellular Nutrition. Well, so many times, like, can I ask you, do you take supplements?
I do. Yep. I take a men's multivitamin, and then I've been supplementing creatine, and then also be like a collagen infused like protein with some other things there.
But do you know like what that is like doing for you? I mean, or is it just something like, how did you come about like taking that supplement?
Sure. I mean,
is it
was
just
more,
you kind of read or something like
reading
that?
about it and just seeing like benefits of like creatine is one of the most researched, supplements out there.
Creatine,
so,
everybody should take creatine.
Yeah. So
everybody
that's
should.
More just getting in a like rhythm of getting the unflavored stuff, put in whatever I'm drinking every day.
Absolutely.
Do a scoop a day. So, but I would say that. And then, again, I've been kind of going down the peptide wormhole to learn more about it recently, but I don't take any of those things right now.
So with Cellular Nutrition, if you do that test, it is actually going to show inside your cell what your body is absorbing as far as your vitamins, vitamins, minerals, and like aminos. And so by seeing that, you're no longer guessing, you're seeing what you should, like what your cell is low in. And I had one client, like she was so low in leucine. Well, without like that amino leucine, it is harder to put on muscle. And not only that, but the Cellular Nutrition test, it shows what you're insufficient in, but then it shows what antioxidant is your superpower. So the beautiful part of that is from that test, in the methylation test, you can actually see and have a customized supplement made precisely just for you. And that is, I mean, I will tell you, I have one client, she's a hairdresser, always inflamed. Because if you think of like all the chemicals that hairdressers are around, she's 15 years younger than I am. She's having like joint pain, she's inflammation, her digestive system did not work very well. And I don't know like if people realize like how uncomfortable it is if you can't go to the bathroom once a day. And so we got her on these supplements, and I'm not kidding you, within like the same week, she's like, I am sleeping so much better. I feel good. And as a trainer, it is so fun when you see someone walk in and all of a sudden I can see her confidence even changing, right? Because she's like, oh, wow, like this is like, she's now like seeing her gains along with that. And then the ALCAT food sensitivity, that test, and it's just what foods you're sensitive to. So you could have the perfect bodybuilder diet where you're eating chicken or beef or something that you think is so great for you. For myself, like I did this test and I found out, holy smokes, like beef inflames me, So I also had one client, she lost 5 pounds in 1 week. And before she ate really clean, she did her meal prep, she did everything like that, but she found the foods that inflamed her and we removed those. And I mean, joint pain goes away, brain fog goes away, the inflammation in your body now allows you not to be bloated, So anything on that, it's like, oh, you know how many people, like if they just did some of these tests, would just feel so much better. And then they might actually enjoy like their workouts even more. They're going to get results faster. And it's just like, that's why we kind of come up with like the whole, like, why guess when you can test?
Sure.
And I don't know, like it kind of, this kind of is one of those things that it's like sometimes people are like, oh, well, that's expensive. But yet you see them with women, like they'll buy a Louis Vuitton purse or some designer this or something like that. And I'm like, at the end of it, what is more important, like your health and how you feel and how you think and how you move? Or is it having like the next cool up and coming, article of clothing or something like that?
Sure. People don't value their health until they're about to die, and then it's too late.
Well, and I'm saying your health is priceless. Like you don't think about your health until, but let's say it, like if you're uncomfortable, nothing else really matters if you don't feel good. Like that's when they're like, ugh.
When you look at, I think it's interesting, if you look at the ultra wealthy, once they get to a certain point, all of them get in shape because they realize like, there's no matter how many billions of dollars I have access to, if I'm not alive to spend it, like, that's the whole point.
Exactly.
You look like Jeff Bezos, like he got super fit, and like just anybody. I mean, any person that reaches that level of success, they're like, just take that same, like you mentioned, take those attributes, copy it, paste it to other parts of your life and your finances and your relationships and your health. Like it can change everything.
And I will tell you, it breaks my heart knowing that the next generation at one time I did know the statistics on this, but like how unhealthy the next generation is in comparison of ours. And, you walk around and I mean, you can see it already. And everybody always has the sugar laden drinks, tons of caffeine. And I mean, anywhere that you go, you look at the food portions and it's like, holy smokes, like this is a lot of food. And eating healthy, it breaks my heart how expensive that has become, which is a shame.
Yeah, it's hard. I know you mentioned self-testing. I haven't done the BioCode program myself, but it's figuring out, like you mentioned, bloat or swelling or inflammation. For me, it was like waking up in the morning. I would call it Grinch gut. And you just like got really bloated in the morning. I'm like, I just woke up. Like, why am I doing this? So I did a reset a couple weeks ago where I started trimming all my processed foods down, cut my calories down quite a bit, and just trying to see what was doing it. And like some of those things I think are really interesting because then, we're out going shopping and we stop at a fast food place with the kids and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to get like a salad. And it's like, that's more than the burger. Just to get a salad. I'm like, it's less food that probably saves them more money, like as the restaurant, but it's just how it is.
Well, and like, bless your heart that you've like, I want to feel better. Let's, that you're trying to go through and let me cut out this, cut out that. But like, if you just tested it, you would actually find like, oh, like my body doesn't like that. Like, it's really like simple and it's just a blood draw. You send it in, you get your results a week later. It saves a lot of like time and money and like just like being frustrated.
Sure.
So it's kind of like the ease of mind. And I will tell you, I did bodybuilding shows back. This is like funny. Like now I'm like, it's past even 10 years ago. Like time does just kind of fly by. But I used to do bodybuilding and I would eat the same things all the time. Then I got leaky gut. And I did it to myself because I ate the exact same things that I created food sensitivities. And so egg whites were the number one thing I was like sensitive to. Now I can have that again, but it's just very interesting how we can kind of create our lifestyle and our habits even though we think we're doing everything right, it might not be right for us at that moment.
Sure. I love that. So with the BioCode program, is that something that you helped start up or you got associated with, or how did you get plugged in with that?
So I am now, I'll put a plug out. Like there is another trainer, his name's Joe Laxton. I actually went to high school with him. Being in the industry as long as I have a lot of people who reach out to me that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy with my life. Like this isn't going to work, but like Joe, when he reached out, like I have a lot of respect for him because he loves science like I love science. And I knew it wasn't an MLM type of thing because I always kind of just, I don't know. That has never really been my thing. So I was like, okay, like I'll hear you out. And he's like, we want you to be a coach that is like starting this off. So, we're just going to pilot 10 coaches. And then I think I'm really easy to get along with, but I think I've been in the business for so long that I'm like a little bit of like a control freak, and I wanted to know about it, that I was like looking through their website. And I mean, not just like I'm looking through their website, like I'm dissecting it, breaking it apart, things that I changed, like what I don't understand. And so I met with the founder of the company, Jim Wilterdink. He's the finance guy through and through, just brilliant. He has his own story, which at some point he might be a fun guest for you to have on. But I met with him and I'm like, I think he was like, are you, he has said before, he's like, are you always this big of a pain in the ass? And I'm like, I know this industry. Like, I know this industry like finance. And I'm like, these are things. And he's like, okay, I want you to be like, you're a part of this. So now like my role is I am now like the VP of the training for X Factor Labs is what it's called. And it's something that it is just we're, in the new phases of it, but I am so excited. Our goal is to help over 1 million people. Like, and we're going to do that, but it is so fun being around people who are like-minded. And I've known for a long time my purpose on earth is to help other people. And this just gives me all the tools, more so than what I had in my toolbox, to help people more efficiently and without a doubt. And it's your biology. So it's not like it's like what I've researched, what I've read. Like, I have the test results of your biology, of either your DNA or because of epidemiology of where your genes are at, like right now, that with my knowledge and my coaching and holding you accountable and creating a program for you, I mean, there's no doubt that you're going to reach whatever goal you have in mind.
Sure. How's it been like plugging in with other like-minded people doing it? Because a lot of your business stuff is just you by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, how's it been?
I love
it.
it.
Team?
I love it. You know, your vibe attracts your tribe, as I've like said before in this. And it's like you're around like-minded people. And I mean, you could go off on a meeting and then you're always going down there like, okay, like you got to like recircle back to what we're doing, because we're always like going down, like taking one topic even further and deep diving there. And it's fun to, I love to play with people. I'm like a big kid.
Sure.
I don't ever want to grow up. So, you know, you're around people who we might be older in years, but because we live the lifestyle, you know, you're only as old as you feel, right?
Absolutely. Age is just a number, right? It's just
it honestly is. You know, like sometimes with my daughter, I'm like, like you're half my age and I can bust out how many more push-ups than you? Like, come on, girl, you know. But I'm also super competitive.
Sure. Gotta keep it.
You gotta keep it, yeah.
I know earlier you'd mentioned kind of how kind of busted the system is in terms of so many people drinking super sugary coffee drinks and pounding caffeine all the time. We kind of talk about this a little bit. For the 30-year-old business owner that's listening, that's like running on like 3 Monsters and 5 hours of sleep every day. Why is this like standard of fitness not normal anymore? Why is that the normal compared to like taking
Well, I
care of
hope you're
yourself?
not doing that, because then you're just wired and tired and you're not really even getting into that deep sleep that you need. You know, so it's like you're actually, the more caffeine you have, you're just robbing your energy stores literally from the next day. And you keep up with that. And then your heart or your blood pressure, or, you know, there's always like consequences to doing like the cheap fix. You know, like the instant gratification things, a lot of times those have repercussions.
Sure. Hopefully it's the wake-up call if you're listening at home.
Yes, if you are if your body is properly, like if you have the nutrition that you need, or if you need help and it's like the supplements, you don't need all those energy drinks, because you're going to feel good, but it's going to be like, you're going to feel better because it's going to be like that natural energy, and you're going to be able to focus like without the brain fog. Like, you will feel so good. And you know what? Like, our body can do such magical things. So you can turn back time a little bit, right? And I mean, we all want to get to the point where maybe we like retire, but like, don't you really want to enjoy retirement? I mean, I do. I want to be that grandma who's like hiking all the way up with a kid on my back. Like, that is like it's very strong why to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And not be, go to the beach with the family and not like have to hide under the sun thing with just like can't even go out in the sun, or can't move, can't go play in the ocean with the grandkids, can't like pull them around a little wagon or whatever. It's like,
I always think if you want to have a great relationship with your grandchildren, you got to be a part of making the memories. Like, don't just observe, be there's observer watching them do stuff. Like, they remember the things that they did with you. So that's what you're working. Everybody works and works and works and works. And it's like, I sometimes think in America, we have it wrong. Like, we're living to work instead of just working to live. And that is a beautiful thing of like going on vacations, or it doesn't even have to be vacations. It's like being able to like have a garden and, doing something, or like being active. Like, I love being active. And plus, when you're active, like, we also know that like with neurotransmitters, like, you're releasing dopamine, serotonin, those little happy little hormones that you just feel better. Like, movement is medicine.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I know we kind of touched on peptides earlier. I'm curious about your opinion on stuff like that, of the wellness and health products that are out there. And people maybe fixating too much on these like quick fix things like a GLP-1 or a injection or something instead of like solving like a root cause of a lifestyle issue.
I will tell you right now, I know like with Ozempic, it's a diabetic drug. And I know I can always tell a lot of times when people do Ozempic because their face is kind of sunken in, and especially with women, like the skin does, and they always have that flat butt. Mm-hmm. If you are a woman, especially, you got to chase muscle. Chase muscle like it is your job. If you are in your 20s, girl, like I don't care if you think you're going to bulk up. You just keep lifting heavy, keep on lifting heavy, because what do you want to do? Do you want to be like hot pushing a walker when you're older? I mean, like, honestly, like where if you do like fall, you're going to break a hip, or do you actually want to be strong? So I love that we are kind of like in an era where it's like strong is beautiful. Like I hope that continues, where it looks good to have shape instead of being like skinny. But there's this incredible doctor who did this webinar that we listened to. Because all of our testing, a lot of it is done through Cell Science. And so with that lab, and if you do not have an adequate amount of like nutrients that you are consuming, because a lot of times like with like those diet, the GLPs, like it curbs your appetite so much that you are so neutrally deficient. And so your body is not, like your brain isn't even working properly. Like things are not working how it's supposed to. And what that means for bone health later on, it's going to be scary. So those quick fixes, it's not a perfect magic wand. That's just, you're going to take it and you might get the initial results, but trust me, like the future of what you might see with it scares the shit out of me. Peptides, though, like there's certain peptides that I love. Like my husband did BPC 157 before it got pulled.
Sounds like a robot name or something.
Yes.
I got to get some new names for these.
Yes. But, like I could kind of go down. I don't want to get this podcast pulled, but it's kind of scary, certain things with our own government that they don't want people to be healthy.
Right.
And so many things that could help people that are proven to help people are pulled because Big Pharma can't make that money that they want to.
Sure.
So
isn't that so sad though?
It is so sad. So you kind of look at like hospitals and all of that, like it is a business. They make money off sick people. If it's something that people can do naturally, like peptides are a phenomenal thing. I am all for peptides.
Perfect. Well, it's great. I think, again, I'll have to keep listening to my podcast research and hear if I can hear more about it. But I do think it's interesting. I talk with a lot of people that are interested in the GLP-1s, or it's the quick fix. Anything in this world, there is never a quick fix. There's always a massive trade-off. I want to put on 100 pounds of muscle in a year. Cool. You can take a ton of steroids and you'll probably die at 50.
Exactly.
There's always the but. You can't
need to live. Your liver is a very important organ that, Yeah,
there's always a trade. And I think it's interesting. I was talking with a professional that sells peptides, ironically, and they're like, there's no downside at all, like zero. And I'm like, now I'm skeptical because I don't like, there's always a downside to everything. There's always a negative aspect to everything. So it's, again, trying to do more research on it and figure it out.
Well, and it was sad when I was working, I worked last year. I got a job at that functional doctor clinic, and she got a cease and desist on the peptides from being able to use those to help patients. And it's just like, what world we live in,
right?
Like something that could naturally help somebody. And it's, and I'm not all caught up now. So I'm not sure exactly where you're at with, certain what peptides are proven that, they will let people use them or not, but
yeah, it's a wild world for sure. Let's take a pause from the story here. We'll jump into our lightning round. These are rapid fire questions just to kind of keep you on your toes, break up the story a little bit.
Okay, I'm getting a drink of water.
Okay, please do. We have not briefed you on these questions. They will be a surprise to you, and you can be as brief or as long as you want. It's a lightning round, but if you want to expand more, you can. There's no rules on this stuff, so you can take as long as you want. What is your favorite protein-infused sweet treat?
I actually, and it's not even necessarily I love my own protein shakes that I make. My favorite one is a vanilla protein powder, and I'll use any sort of milk. And then I love like the dark unsweetened cherries. And then I actually have a wedge of a lemon, and I blend it all together. And it's like the most refreshing protein drink, and I love it.
I love it. That's great. What is the most overrated like influencer trend right now in the fitness space, or things that you're seeing like on social media that everyone's attempting for the fitness side?
Oh my God, the thing that really pisses me off is like when they say that girls can just build these amazing booties from doing body weight workouts. It just irks me off.
Right.
Or like I see them like saying, use this to build that. And I'm like, that exercise doesn't even target that. So it just, it pisses me off.
Sure. You're like wrong stamp of wrongness.
Yeah.
I love it. What's your like guilty pleasure Midwest snack that definitely isn't on the BioCode list?
For me, I love cheese. I just love cheese. That, and then I'm not going to lie, I kind of like my espresso martinis.
Sure.
That wouldn't be on the BioCode list. But
That's
hey,
good.
you know what? Everything in moderation, right?
There you go. There you go. This is great. What is one book that every 25-year-old business owner needs to read this year?
I love Atomic Habits. Have you read it?
I've not. It's on my list, I believe.
I've like read 5 times. And then I keep on going back to it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I also, but this is just because I'm a little bit intense, I love David Goggins.
Sure.
Do you know
Someone's
who I'm
got to
talking
carry
about
the boats,
there?
man. Yeah, I've read all his books as well.
But
one of the
I
craziest
love
life
like the
stories.
power of a positive mindset.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. I'm very big into like mental because I do, as I said before, like your body conquers what your mind controls. You get your mind right and you believe in yourself, the world is yours.
Sure. I love that. What's more important for a CEO, 10,000 steps a day or 1 hour of heavy lifting per day?
Depends what your genetics say, your
Okay.
DNA.
Okay.
All right.
I
Yeah.
like it.
But I'm a big fan of lifting heavy.
Sure. I was going to say
Yeah.
probably both, right?
Dude, I will like, especially 10,000 steps, you can't kind of go wrong with that. But yeah, some people everybody does need strength and everybody does need some form of cardio, even if it's just steps.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What's the biggest rookie mistake that you see young business owners making with their health?
The biggest rookie mistake, honestly, it is not being authentic to yourself.
Okay.
Like you see someone else's success and you try to emulate and all of a sudden you don't even know who you are anymore. Like, you know what? Like be yourself and your people will find you and just speak it from the heart, because if you're not being true to yourself, you're going to start to lose who you are and actually what brings you joy. So be yourself.
I love that. What is your go-to, like, I would say biohacking practice that actually makes a difference in your life? So something like red light, sauna, cold plunge.
Sauna. We have a sauna at our house.
Okay.
And so I like to at least, in an ideal world, realistically, at least 20 minutes of a sauna 4 times a week.
Okay. And what has that done for your health? Like, how has that been something that's fit in your
for me,
life?
a lot of times I have the MTHFR variant and then I have a COMT. So as far as like, I still do love caffeine, but it kind of stays with me a long time and it can kind of make me not deal with stress as well. And I can get in my head and then I can get anxious. And so just sitting in the sauna helps me almost decompress, but it's also, it's so good for many other benefits. Now like Doug Push Pedal Pull has actually brought in different saunas with like different lights that hit different things, as far as like more fat loss, as far as like organs, as far as like, there's a lot of new amazing things as far as what the education has come along with saunas and what they're targeting.
Well, if you can habit stack some of those, like if you're going to do the sauna,
habit stacking. I love habit stacking.
Put some red light in there, like get them, read your book while you're in there, like stuff like that.
And another thing though, too, as people like get older, you really do need to work on flexibility and mobility. So everybody's always chasing just like the lifts or like the cardio, but a lot of times that recovery is important.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That was my last question on the lightning round. So you're now
you can keep on asking me more. But too, I also think if you're asking anything, like supplementing for what your body needs.
Sure.
And it's a game changer.
Well, I know for me personally, like I really struggle to get plenty of vegetables in my diet. Mm-hmm. So it's like trying to find a way, like for me, an easy way is like putting spinach in my eggs every morning. I cook it in there. I don't even taste it. And it's just in there. Now my kids are like, what's this green stuff in here? I'm like, if it's good for you, just eat it.
My gosh. So when my kids were little, when I told you earlier about the protein ice cream, we would actually take frozen broccoli and we would like put that in and we'd like, it'd basically be a really thick smoothie, but they always like, can I have more protein ice cream? And they had no idea that it was packed full of broccoli.
Sure. When my kids always say they want a protein shake when it's like anything that's not white milk. Can I have protein shake, Dad? So it's kind of funny. They're always asking
There's
for that.
so many different things that I do with protein. Like, I just told you this morning, like I love protein oatmeal. Mm-hmm. Or even for kids who even if you're thinking like a bowl of cereal, you could put some protein powder in like your milk and then that just will give you an extra 20 grams of protein.
Sure. No, I love that.
Yeah.
And I think, again, just trying to explore new fun things with it. Like we mentioned the steps, like, okay, you're not getting out enough to do that. Or something that I've noticed, like with the fitness stuff, it's if I've been lifting too much or more focused on lifting and not doing enough cardio, that like there's a little bit of fun in like doing all out sprint for 30 seconds. Like, you're huffing and puffing, but then like 20 minutes later, you got like this like feeling like I can do anything. It's like you push your boundaries a little bit more.
Yeah. I think you're going to adopt that whole your body conquers what your mind controls. And a lot of times we give up mentally before, and our body could keep on going. Like we think that it can't. But mentally, if you push yourself, just like I could do 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds. And the next thing you know, like you're running like you might be doing, what did your friend do? His bush, like,
bushwhack,
or some mud run or something like that.
Sure.
It's always kind of fun to just push and see what your body, like what you can do.
Sure. No, I love that. We talked about too, we kind of danced around this, like the kids and working that into your fitness, like lifestyle, like having be a whole family thing. It's not just like a you thing. And cause it's an uphill battle if you're the only person in your family that cares about your health. So your kids grew up in like with a fitness studio in the house or around the fitness studio, like gym in the house, obviously. How do you balance that like mompreneur identity with like the burnout side of it too, where it's like, it's a big part of who you are, but trying to still have time for the family to not burn out and try to do too many things at once.
If you make everything a family thing, then they're just a part of it. And it's not even like, it's just a lifestyle. So many times it's just however you look at it. But I will tell you, my son, holy crap, I thought I used to be like determined. Like seeing him, he is 16 years old and is the most disciplined human being I've ever seen. Like he is out the door and is doing speed and conditioning at 5 a.m. Or today he didn't have school today and he was in Norwalk at 7 a.m. doing a football, working with a football coach because, he's got big goals and there's no doubt in my mind he'll accomplish them.
Sure.
But he has put us to shame. But, like the one thing that I have like told him, I'm like, okay, like you are, he has grown. I do kind of laugh because you kind of see like different genetics and you see different things. And he used to have like my husband's build, and not my husband's going to kill me for like even saying this, but like he'd always had like with Jack, he had his build, but now how he lifts, his legs have gotten huge and he has got the biggest butt. And I'm like, you get that from your mama, right? Like, but it is amazing to see like how much his body has changed. But I also tell you that the kid tracked his macros too, and he is putting on more size. The one thing that I do have to say for women, and I know that this doesn't quite go along, but like everybody who wants to like, if you want like a booty, like sometimes, yes, you have to be in a calorie surplus to put on that muscle. So you might feel like you're carrying a little extra weight like around the midsection. But then when you go on a little bit of a cut, then it's like going to sculpt, so many times people think that they always have to eat in a deficit. And I'm going to tell you, most of the time people are not eating enough. So there's like a push and pull play. So like if anyone ever comes to me, I'm always like, before I do anything with your macros or however I'm going to help you nutritionally, I just want to know what you're intaking.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Well, I think even just seeing the discipline for him at such a young age, that's got to be cool to see where he'll end up in life too, just apply it. Like again, copy and paste those things and other things.
It is but it's actually kind of sad because, my husband and I, we've been in this field forever, and we could say something and then we have to hire a coach to help him do exactly what we could help him do. But, sometimes they don't want to listen to their parents.
Sure. Yeah. Mom and dad say it. I don't want to listen.
Yeah.
But if a coach says it, then I guess I'll do it.
That goes along big time with him with flexibility and mobility.
Sure. So another thing I thought was interesting is how do you, and we talked about this as well, the lifestyle side of it, not making like fitness a punishment. How do you make that really like an integration into kind of the lifestyle where fitness isn't a punishment for kids, even if they're not in athletics or something, but it still makes it like a fun family outing?
Like some of it too, like people will be like, like I always kind of, when I've seen, because I've trained younger kids as well. And, they're like, oh, I'm not an athlete or I'm not like this. And it's just like, it is so crazy how they were told something at some point, and then all of a sudden they have these beliefs like, oh, well, I'm just, a bigger kid. And I'm like, what? Like, stop. Like, no, like it's limiting beliefs is a heartbreaker. So if you are a parent, like I would definitely not focus on body image. I would focus on health, but just like doing things, but you have to lead by example, but like making it so it's like something just like fun and enjoyable. And it's like a bonding thing between you guys, like going on a walk or like riding a bike. And many times kids just haven't found like maybe the activity that they're good at. So they might not like to run. Well, then they don't need to run. There's other ways that you could do things. It's not like a black and white world. You might not like to run, but like maybe you like to kayak or ride a bike or roller skate. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like finding what you like to do and getting rid of limited beliefs, because we are our thoughts. We are so much our thoughts.
Well, if you, what do they always say? If you think you can or think you can't, you're right. It's like, that's totally true. And I think it's interesting too, if you have this big goal or a vision for what you want in a certain area of life and you try to chase it, and right away people will tell you you're crazy. They'll try and tell you, no, don't do it. And then you kind of go away for a while, and then you finally reach the thing, and then they're like, man, how'd you do that? It's like, you talk to me like previously when you told me to stop,
I know this sounds weird, but chase failure. Because fail many times, because it means that you're trying, right? And anybody who has something that like you might want, like they see someone trying, they're not like laughing at you. Like if I see someone like in the gym and they're not doing something correctly, like form related, it's, hey, you're here. Like you are doing it. Like you already win, So a lot of it is just start. And even if you fail or you feel like you fail, if you learn something from it, you didn't fail.
Sure. It's all learning
Life
experience.
is a journey, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about this, the Made Strong method and kind of the tie-in with that. Was that kind of the brand that you lived under when you had the offsite spot as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me about how that gym kind of opened up and what the vision for that was.
Well, that is actually where, so when the gym actually opened up, it was going to be like a power plate studio. And then we had power plates, but even though I love the power plate and it's a great modality, it's a great thing to use, it just gets boring, like doing things like repetitive on my end, because as I said before, like I'm ADHD. And so I've always loved personal training. So it kind of just went from supposed to be like a power plate studio to attracting, even like our avatar, it seemed like we attracted different people from what our avatar originally even was. So it's not like, as far as having a business plan, it's definitely not like the business plan took off how it was supposed to. But I'm also a believer in how the universe works and how things happen, how they should. I never expected it to be, because we got to the point that we either needed to close down that space to get a bigger space, because the small group classes are really what took off. But I only had like so many of this, so many of that, and there was only so much square footage. So how that took off, it never went as planned, but it kind of made it fun.
Sure.
I don't know. People get so frustrated with me because many people are structured and they like a plan. And I think, as I told you, I'm just kind of like a big kid. So too much routine, I get bored. So it's kind of been like, oh, well, let's just roll with that. Like, oh, and I know I'll make some business people like cringe saying that. But it's like you kind of find out what works and you're just constantly like, you're restructuring, like you're like kind of like redoing the map. Business is not linear. Anybody could tell you that. There's so many ups, downs, loops, different things you did not plan for, like COVID. Like nobody planned for like COVID. Like that was a game changer for many businesses. For my husband, it was great because he sold indoor exercise equipment, so that was a really great time for him, except, then like a part was like made in China. So then they couldn't get that part. And then, so then he had a like whole little stress thing of his own. But, life is, there's many times like, oh, maybe I woulda, shoulda, coulda. But hey, like we're still, I don't know, I still feel young, so I'm still figuring out things.
Sure. Well, like we said, age is a number and it's a feeling and that's great. I know one of the pieces too we talk about is kind of the Midwest lifestyle a little bit. For local Iowa business owners listening, what's kind of that like Midwest specific health trap that a lot of us fall into and how can we kind of avoid that? Whether it's like dieting, exercise, or just this myth or this assumption about health in general.
Honestly, small business owners, it breaks my heart because they overwork themselves and they have so much stress and they don't take care of themselves first, that they run their health in the ground to keep their business open, or they try to take on too much and not outsource it. I feel like especially with, and I know I'm guilty of this, like our pride is associated with being able to do everything. And sometimes I feel like in other places, they'll outsource things quicker, but with us, we're like, oh, we can take it, we can handle it. And then you're burned out, you don't have the energy, you're not putting like your health first, and we got nothing without our health.
Sure. No, I think that's a great answer. I think another thing too is just kind of thinking about this unlocking strength for women. You mentioned like kind of really focusing on that as an option for people of avoid, the goal isn't skinny, the goal is strong. It just become strong. How have you seen just with your clients, people that kind of build that confidence, build the strength that builds the confidence, and then the impact that makes on their life in general?
Dude, it changes everything. I mean, especially for a woman, if a woman feels sexy and confident in her skin, I mean, it comes from she's going to have more energy for her family. She's going to feel sexier, so she might have a better time in the bedroom with her husband. That's a win-win for everybody. But not only that, but it's just like, I always say the sexiest thing you could wear is confidence. And when you are confident, and you feel confident if you look better naked, like it is, you just do, right? And so when you start like strength training and you do different things, your body does change, But not only that, it's just like, it's just your inner badass just comes standing out. And so sometimes your family might not like it, certain things, because you might stick up for yourself a little bit more because you got a little bit more pep in your stuff. And that's always the one thing with personal training, the owner of BioCode, Jim and he's always like, oh, trainers, you're just counting reps and sets. And I'm like, oh, that makes me so mad. And I'm like, because there's so much more to like what I do. So it's kind of like the cross of being like a life coach along with like knowing biomechanics and knowing how things work. Because all squats are different, like programming is very important, but like form is very important. But there's so much more into it. But like when I am with women, I am not kidding you. If I could just have you see the certain people when they walk in the door and see what they look like 6 weeks later. And it's not even the physical. I mean, yes, it is going to be some of the physical too, but it's like you just see they might have a little bit more sass. They have like, it's all about confidence. And that is what I love to be a part of, is like, and I don't want to say like I inspire people. It's like I want to bring out your inner badass. That's what I want to do. So like sometimes I'll kind of pick at you, or I'll like kind of question, or I'll quiet, or like, like, come on, like you got more into you. Like you're not crying yet. Like don't give up. Like push yourself a little bit more. And then that just overlays in other parts of their life too.
Sure. I love that. As we kind of wrap up here, would love to hear a little bit more about what the future looks like for your career path. What's kind of, what's the next 5 years or so look like in terms of all the different business opportunities you're up to?
Oh my gosh. Oh God. So I want, as far as with BioCode, like our goal is to like reach 1 million people. I'm kind of doing a lot of the corporate wellness stuff. So like getting into different businesses and doing lunch and learn. So if anybody does want, if you have a business and you'd like me to come in and talk to your employees about the testing, I mean, that helps employers a lot, as well, just because of productivity and like health cost companies. So there's that facet of it. And then for me personally, I'll still always have to coach a little bit. So it's like having a great group and community of women who are pushing themselves and motivating other women. But I will always have to be a part of like the interaction.
Sure. Mm-hmm. That's great. Well, I'm sure there'll be more things along the way that we'll have to follow along with.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I'm always like, I can get distracted very easily. And then I'm always like, I'm trying to work on not being such a yes person because that sounds fun. Like, I'll take that on too. I'll take that. And then I'm like, wait, like I actually have to like be able to put the hours of the day with that work that entails that. So sometimes I need to not be quite the yes person I am, but I love it.
That's great. Yeah. Meg, where can people find you if they want to learn more or check you out on social media?
So you can go either like Made Strong Method is like Instagram, Facebook. Otherwise, I do have a website that's www.madestrongmethod.com. And you can see about BioCode, one-on-one personal training, or like online coaching.
Perfect. Meg, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Very good. If you guys have made it this far in the show, you know what to do. Subscribe, check things out. We'll put links to all of Meg's links in the description box below in terms of her website and some of the stuff that's going on with that. If you don't check us out on social media already, we post daily episode clips from our last 107 episodes that we do. So make sure to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and all the places that you find clips. But until next Monday, my name is Ryan Snaadt. It rhymes with odd, and I'm out. Peace. Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of the Rhymes with Odd podcast. We really do appreciate your support. If you could give us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes, that makes a world of difference, guys. Also, if you're tuning in on YouTube or Spotify, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss another episode, and check us out on social media. Also, if you'd like to inquire more about our services here at Snaadt Media Group or learn about doing your own podcast for your own business, you can find us at snaadmedia.com. See you in the next episode. Peace.